Adding the troubles of tomorrow to today's burden leads to emotional overload. You see, many of us don't live in the present moment. And most of the time, you live into the future because we are always into the future. However, the trouble with that is we fail to recognize the fact that living in the present moment, the now is all that you have. So, in today's 7 minutes of inspiration, we would like to look at living in the present moment. Why don't you live in the present moment? Or emotionally overreacting to events which have not yet come into your life, as in looking into the future and getting worried about it. So, in today's 7 minutes of inspiration, let's look at living in the present moment today, because that is the origin of your emotional happiness. Mariam Nabuja Ladies Guide, your emotional wellness guide.
She's a lady, she's a cancer.
Previously, we had a session on emotional stability, how you can be emotionally stable. And we noted that people who are emotionally unstable are always in emotional ups and downs. They're happy now and they're sad tomorrow. So we concluded by saying success or failure, triumph or disaster always be the same. When you're always the same in all circumstances, good or bad, it gives you the foundation of being emotionally stable. If you missed that last week's 7 minutes of inspiration, please visit the description section below and watch at leisure. Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends, because sharing is truly caring. This is a channel of entertainment. We entertain and we educate, and it's an emotional wellness channel where you find life. All the things that man cannot buy, that's what we give you here. The feelings to feel good. You see, when you live in the past, you're robbing yourself of the present. When you're living in the future, you're robbing yourself the happiness in the present. Most of the time, we live in two circumstances. Like I always say, people go back in the past or they go in the future. Most of us who have dealt with the past, now we have a problem of the future. Those who have failed to live in the future now go back in the past. However, just to remind you that the present moment is all that you have. Avoid living in the future, because the future has nothing and nobody is certain about it. So living in the future puts the burdens of the future today. Many people anticipate problems. Many people worry about what will happen in the future. And many of those things don't even happen. So are you among the people who are always worried about the future? This is just to remind that right now, where you are is all that you have. Learn to bring back your mind to the present moment. Because when you do so, is when you enjoy the journey called life. And how do you live in the present moment? I'll give you some simple tips. Just to bring my mind back to the present moment. Number one, meditate. Number two, have an action of gratitude. Say thank you. You know, every time the mind is trying to remind you about the future, the things that you don't have, come back and say thank you for the things that you already have. It will give you some bit of presence. Take a walk, exercise, do yoga, take the body into movement. It will get out of that future anticipation and anxiety of the future, which brings all that emotional and wellness. So then, my very good friends, this is just to remind you that every time you live in the future, you rob yourself of the present moment. And when you rob yourself of the present moment, you lose productivity. To remind you, this channel is all about improving your productivity in all other areas of your life: social, financial, spiritual, physical, etc. You know, the things that make that journey are called life. So then, if you live in the future and you rob yourself of the present, at the end of the day, you don't enjoy yourself. And why do people live into the future? People who live in the future, most of the time, are not grateful people. People who live in the future are most of the time overthinking. People who live in the future, because I've met a lot of clients where a woman is even pregnant, but before they give birth to the child, they're already worried about being single moms. Then I'm like, how sure are you that by the time you give birth, this man will be in your space still? You know, many of us get worried of the future. And the solution to all that is let the future be. Whatever will be, will be. You can't control that. Okay? So live in the present moment. Most of the fears you've had all of life, nothing has happened. So why don't you come back to enjoy yourself now? Okay? And that's how things are done. So every time the mind is trying to take you to the future, asking you questions, interrogating you, telling you, tell us, where will your children be 10 years from now? What will you be 10 years from now? Will this marriage work out or not? Or will you have a job? Will you, every time it is coming up with those ideas, get a pen and paper and then thank yourself for the journey that you've moved to the present where you are right now. Have that gratitude journal. Just write about the good things. That's what I do. And then the mind will come back to remember that it's in the present moment. Because the war we are fighting is remembering the past and getting to the future. Those are the two wars the mind fights all the time. And as I end this session, I just remind you, choose the present moment. Do any activity that puts you back to the present moment. That is where happiness of life is. Just to remind you, we have emotional intelligence masterclasses. And if you're interested in learning all the things and more, please join our classes. Also, this is a membership channel. Only members, with time, will receive such useful information. So I encourage each one of you to become a member to the Ladies Guide channel, just to support the channel and also to have more of this useful content in the future. Thank you so much, and see you again next week. Dr. Mariam Nabuja, Ladies Guide. Bye bye.
She's a lady, she's a woman, she is love, she